Mealtimes can be one of the most stressful parts of the day for families, especially when your child has a limited diet or refuses to eat certain foods. If your child struggles with feeding, you're not alone. Many families face this challenge, and there are strategies that can help. In this lesson, we'll talk about some of the reasons children may refuse food and how to introduce new foods in a gradual, supportive way. You'll also learn how to create a positive mealtime routine, use reinforcement to build success, and, most importantly, know when it's time to pause and reach out for help. Feeding challenges can happen for many reasons, and they often look different from one child to the next. Some children are picky eaters who only accept certain textures or flavors. Others might refuse entire food groups or eat only when distracted. And for some children, mealtime or food itself feels so overwhelming, scary, or aversive that they avoid eating altogether. These struggles can be frustrating, but they're not your fault, and more importantly, they don't mean your child is being bad or stubborn. In many cases, food refusal is your child's way of coping with discomfort, stress, or a skill they haven't learned yet. It could be your child's resistance to change and new experiences. Autistic children are more likely to experience feeding challenges due to differences in sensory processing, flexibility, and oral motor development. They might gag at certain textures, feel overwhelmed by strong smells, or have difficulty sitting still for meals. They might also find changes in routine, like being offered a new food, very distressing. Sometimes feeding challenges can start with a medical issue like reflux or choking. Even after the issue is resolved, your child may still associate eating with discomfort and avoid it. That's why it's so important to rule out medical causes first, and then use behavioral strategies to build positive associations with food. It's likely that if you're taking this lesson, your child refuses to eat foods that are high in nutrients. This is very common for autistic children. Autistic children tend to prefer highly processed foods. One reason for this is because they're predictable. These foods tend to have the same flavor, texture, and appearance every time. Whether it's a certain brand of crackers, chicken nuggets, or cereal, that predictability feels safe and comforting. On the other hand, unprocessed foods, like fruits and vegetables, can vary quite a bit. A grape might be sweet and firm one day and bitter or mushy the next. A banana might have a different texture depending on how ripe it is. If your child bites into a food they usually enjoy and it suddenly tastes or feels different, they might start avoiding that food altogether. This doesn't mean they'll never accept those foods, but it does mean we need to introduce them gently and with patience, using strategies that build trust and comfort over time. Before starting any feeding intervention at home, it's important to make sure your child is eating enough to maintain a healthy weight and overall well-being. If your child's diet is extremely limited or their weight is dropping, or if you're not sure whether they're getting enough nutrition, it's time to bring in additional support. Start by talking to your child's pediatrician. They can help you assess whether your child's growth is on track and whether a referral to a specialist is needed. In some cases, the pediatrician might recommend working with a feeding therapist, dietitian, or a BCBA with specific training in feeding interventions. Trying to push new foods without the right support can backfire, especially for children with more serious feeding disorders. Some children may even stop eating altogether if they feel too much pressure or discomfort around meals. That's why it's critical to rule out medical concerns first and get professional input before moving forward with a new strategy. A good rule of thumb is this: if feeding challenges are causing stress, mealtimes feel like a battle, or your child is losing weight or not growing as expected, don't go it alone. There's no shame in asking for help. Feeding challenges are complex, and having a professional guide can make a big difference in finding a path forward that's both safe and effective. The strategies in this lesson are not designed for children who are experiencing medical issues, signs of malnutrition, or complete food refusal. They are intended for situations where your child is getting enough nutrition but needs help expanding their diet or making mealtimes more positive. Feeding progress takes time. It can feel slow, and some days might feel harder than others, but small changes can really add up. And with the right tools and support, your child can learn to eat a wider variety of foods in a more relaxed and confident way. If your child is eating enough to stay healthy and your team agrees it's safe to try new foods, the first step is to slow down and get curious about what your child already eats. Start by making a list of the foods your child willingly eats on a regular basis. Not just the names of the foods, but what those foods are like. Think about the texture. Are the foods crunchy, soft, chewy, or smooth? Temperature. Are they usually cold, warm, or room temperature? Taste. Are the foods salty, sweet, bland, or flavorful? And consistency. Are the foods wet, dry, sticky, or crispy? Once you have this list, you can start to see patterns. Maybe your child prefers crunchy, dry snacks like crackers and pretzels. Or maybe they stick with soft, cold foods like yogurt and applesauce. This information becomes your roadmap. The goal isn't to jump from pretzels to broccoli overnight. The key is to make small, gradual shifts, offering foods that are similar in one or two ways to what your child already eats. For example, if your child loves potato chips, you might introduce a baked veggie chip that's similar in crunch and saltiness. If they eat smooth yogurt, you might try a different flavor or a yogurt with a bit more texture, like one with blended fruit. When introducing a new food, it's important to remove all pressure to eat or even try the food. Don't ask your child to take a bite right away. Instead, create opportunities for gentle exposure. One method for doing this is called shaping, building up to food acceptance through small, achievable steps. Here's what that might look like. First, accepting the food near their plate. The food is present at mealtime, but not actually on their plate. The next step might be actually accepting the food on their plate. No expectation to touch or eat it, just tolerating that it's there on their plate. The next step might be touching the food. They might poke it with a finger or use utensils. Next might be picking up the food, holding it, examining it, maybe even squishing it a little. Then might come bringing it near their face. This could include smelling it or just getting curious. The next step might be bringing it closer to their mouth. Still no pressure to bite or taste it. The next step might be touching it to their lips, allowing the sensation without needing to go any further. The next step might be to touch it to their tongue. A light tap or lick is a big step forward. Then they might put a little in their mouth. Even if they spit it out, this is meaningful progress. The next step might be actually chewing the food. If they're willing to chew it, great. Still no pressure to swallow. And finally, swallowing the food, only when they're ready and feel safe to do so. This shaping process may happen in just a few sittings, or it might take days, weeks, or even months. That's okay. The goal is not speed. It's building comfort and curiosity at your child's pace. Throughout this process, let your child interact with new foods in whatever way feels right to them. If they choose to poke it, squish it, or even play with it, don't discourage them. This kind of interaction might feel uncomfortable at first or go against your parenting instincts, but it's actually a great sign. It shows that your child is becoming more comfortable and curious, which is an important step toward eventually trying new foods. Once your child starts to interact with a new food, whether they're simply touching it, smelling it, or playing with it, that's your chance to make the experience feel good. This is where reinforcement comes in. Reinforcement means following a behavior you want to see more of with something your child enjoys. It could be praise, a hug, access to a favorite toy, a few minutes of screen time, or anything else your child finds motivating. The key is to pair those small steps toward food acceptance with something positive so your child begins to associate food experiences with fun and success. The entire process should feel no pressure, calm, and even enjoyable. If your child puts a new food on their plate, that's a win. If they bring it to their lips, another win. Your role is to celebrate progress no matter how small and help them feel proud of what they're doing. Here's an example. Let's say your child eats only one specific brand of chicken nuggets. You work with your BCBA to set a goal of introducing a different brand. It might feel natural to say, first try the new chicken, then you can have the ones you like. But try to avoid this approach. While food can be a helpful reinforcer, it shouldn't be a food your child relies on for nutrition, just in case they begin to refuse it. Instead, consider using other reinforcers that make mealtime more motivating. You could offer your child a small menu of options, one bite of a favorite sweet treat, 2 minutes of iPad time, or a few minutes bouncing on a yoga ball that you've set near the table. For every small step they take, placing the new nugget on their plate, smelling it, or bringing it to their lips, they earn a reward they enjoy. Over time, those steps build confidence and comfort. Some families also find success using a visual token system or a simple reward chart to track these little victories. Talk to your BCBA about how to set this up in a way that works for your child's age and ability. And remember, reinforcement isn't bribery. It's a way to celebrate your child's progress and help them feel successful at every step of the journey. Feeding challenges can be complex, and it's important to know when to reach out for support. If your child is refusing most foods, has a very limited diet, or if mealtimes are filled with stress or aggressive behavior, your BCBA can help. It's especially important to involve your BCBA if your child's eating habits are affecting their growth or health, or if you're feeling overwhelmed and unsure how to move forward. Your BCBA can guide you through safe, evidence-based strategies and help you adapt techniques to fit your child's specific needs. They may also recommend consulting with a feeding specialist, speech therapist, or pediatrician if medical or sensory concerns are involved. You don't have to wait for a crisis to ask for help. If something isn't working or you're not sure what to try next, that's exactly when your support team can step in. This work is hard. Feeding is personal, and when it's a struggle, it can feel like it touches every part of your day. But progress is possible, step by step, bite by bite. Some days will feel like a win. Other days won't go as planned. That's okay. What matters is your consistency, your willingness to keep trying, and your relationship with your child. You're not failing. You're learning together. Give yourself permission to go slowly, celebrate tiny victories, and reach out when you need support. You're doing important work, and you don't have to do it alone.